Together we are but first coffee. Susie's just our host, but what matters most is we are a team. Together we are all safe here, and so are you. Among friends and mods we are safe. We talk about trauma, break down drama of life, death, happy or sad, even mad. We discuss it all here. Together we will thrive, not just survive. We will dry each other's tears, celebrate big or small wins, and chase away the fears. Together we fight cults or fight addictions. If not with experience, with love, and we don't judge. Please understand, this is a safe place to land. Please understand, you're not alone. This is a safe place to land. Together we thrive, not just survive. We will dry each other's tears, celebrate big or small wins, and chase away the fears. Because we are but first coffee, and Susie welcomes us all here. Together we are but first coffee, and Susie.
Hey, everybody. Good to see you. I see several of you coming in. It is always, always, always good to see you here. So, gosh, yeah, yesterday I kind of took a little break. I didn't really uh, factor in how tired I was going to be after being in town all day. So, sorry about that. But we will be making it up. We're going to do yesterday's show tomorrow. So, yeah. Anyway, oh, I have to see what, I'll have to see what some of people are talking about in a little bit. But anyway, I'm glad to see you here. And if anybody is new to the channel, I want to welcome you and say I am Susie. As the song said, I'm just the host. The channel is honestly the people that are here, the people that watch, that chat, that lurk, comment on the after show, it's just whatever. Uh, we're one big happy family here, and love it. We love it here. It's kind of one of those we gotcha, we gotcha. If you need a safe place to land, we gotcha. Unless you're an asshole, and then there's a couple of them. One that we'll talk about tomorrow that probably is not going to be safe here. So anyway. I could go on about that, but I won't. I just want to say welcome to everybody. I want to check in with my chat real quick and see what they're talking about. I saw something about red chili chimichangas. So I'm going to have to check it out if they start talking about Mexican food. So, yeah, and please, I want to encourage anybody that's here that wants to join in the chat. We're nice. You don't have to say anything special. I don't know where that came from. You don't have to say anything special or witty or anything. Just pop in and say hi. Just tell us who you are, where you are, or nothing. You don't have to say anything. We just welcome everybody that shows up. So, Jersey, it is good to see you. I too have missed these lives the last few days. It seems like, it was vacation, and then I kind of got back in a rhythm a little bit, and then boom, I took the weekend off, and then oh, what a mess. But yeah, we're back and stronger than ever, and lots of great shows coming up in the next few weeks, actually. So I think you're going to really, really enjoy it. So Mayor is here too. Always good to see you. John is in the back office. I saw that he has already started, starring some comments, so thank you, John, for being here. You are an immense help to me. I don't know. I don't know what I'd do without my mods. I really don't. I don't wanna know, so we're not gonna find out. Encarnacion, so good to see you, as always. Always glad when you're here. Evie, good to see you too. Ben, Bacon Bits, Cool Beans, yeah. Yeah, I'm still a little disturbed over one of the snacks that Ben Bacon Bits said that he ate as a child, and I don't know, he might still eat them. But he said Cheerios and milk, and I was like, "Mm, what's weird about that, right?" But he added pork and beans. Now, I don't know, y'all. I don't know. That sounds just a little gross. But who knows? Yeah. Ben says, "I still have to ask what kind of depraved person would make someone like me a mod." You know, that would be me. That one's on me, this depraved person sitting right here. And I don't regret it at all. Never have. So let's see here. Yeah, he does have a good point, Jan. He does have a good point, but I'm sorry. He stuck with us. He took the bait. He took that wrench and ran with it. So he's stuck with us. Absolutely. Okay. I still don't really get where Ben is talking about red chili chimichangas enchilada style with sour cream. Other than now I'm hungry. Very hungry. Ugh. Carnival says, "I had a coworker at a restaurant who, if he needed something yesterday, he would say, 'I need it tomorrow.'" Yeah, I've had people like that too. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Ben knows Susie's love language. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Mexican food. Yeah, seemed like a random thing to say. Okay, as long as I'm not, like, totally missing the thing here. I was about to say, "Where are my Kleenexes?" That's not the ones I wanted. Those aren't even open yet. Oh gosh, guys. I am getting over being sick, but I do still have a little bit of a runny nose. So, aw, thank you, Jersey. You won't have to find out what you'll do without us. Without us, you're stuck with us. I certainly hope so. These people are my lifeline. They are. Yeah. Now, I didn't write that, bless his heart. That must be that must be, John in the background. Everything a growing boy needs. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I can't get that to for some reason to I can't get it to click on it, but John said everything a grown boy needs. I guess so. Those, Cheerios and milk and pork and beans. Hi, B. Good to see you. So good to see you. Okay. Oh, Ben needs to split in 3 minutes to drive home through the gauntlet of old people who love to pull in front of you to drive 10 miles under the speed limit. They don't bother me as much as the ones that come flying around me. And then, they come flying around me, cut in front of me, go like the same speed I'm going, and then take the very next exit. So, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Ben says, "Someday I will stop typoing, but not today. I'm the typo god." Well, yeah. Anyway, well, I missed something. Arizona appeals to people that can't afford to retire in Florida. Yeah. I think I would rather retire in Arizona than I would in Florida. It is too humid in Florida. I have lived for how many years here in Oklahoma with the humidity, and I would love to move anywhere that is not humid. So in my retirement, maybe I'll move to somewhere. Maybe I'll move to Arizona and annoy Ben in our old age. I'll find him on the road, right, and like just pull right up there and drive 10 miles under the speed limit or something just to annoy him. That would be fun. He probably won't even let me know where he is. He'll move because I've got his address, but he'll probably move so I can't find him if he thinks I'm getting close to retiring. So, anyway, let's see here. I want to check in. I think I missed one, but I'm not sure. If I did, I will catch it in a little bit. So, today, y'all, before we get started, you might as well go grab you a coffee or a different beverage because let me tell you, this one is a doozy. I was writing it up and I just kept on and on and on and I threw out several sets of notes and stuff, y'all, because a lot of it was just there was a lot, and I've kinda started trying to tell myself that y'all wanna know about these things, but that you don't need to know every single detail of every single story that Susie can't seem to get enough of, right? So, yeah. So, yeah, I threw a lot of notes out, or else this would probably be a 2 or 3-hour live. But, I did and I also threw out a lot of stuff that was extremely graphic. So, we do have a trigger warning, but I want you to know that I do warn you before we really talk about anything that's very graphic. So, if you wanna watch until then and then kind of, you know you know, go missing for a couple minutes or speed through it if you're on the replay, but, it is a good story. So, anyway, we are heading north, well, for most of us, we're heading north, and for me, we're heading very north to Canada, which I would love to go to. I haven't been there since I was a child, and I would love to go. So, anyway, this is where one of the most disturbing cults of the late 20th century made headlines, and several documentaries and even a movie and books and all kinds of stuff have been made about them, especially between like 2017 and uh 2024. So there are a lot of different ways and places that you can get the whole story if you choose to do that. I'm just not going to give you everything today cuz, I don't think you want all of it right at dinner time, which it happens to be here where I'm at. So, anyway, before we dive into this whole mess, I want to again say there is a content warning. I I kind of just give the main details until towards the very end and then I will reiterate that that it is going to get a little bit graphic, but I will say not even bad. Not even bad. But I understand that a lot of things trigger people that I don't know about. So if this is one of those that is something that you think that you can't handle, please step away. There'll be another video tomorrow, the next day, all next week. So, or there's a lot on my channel that you can go back and watch videos that we've done over the last year and a half. So, absolutely. Take care of you first. That is what's most important. So, anyway, this story does, however, involve abuse, it involves death, and it involves cruelty. And again, I promise I won't get very graphic, but you need to know that going up. So, this is who we are talking about. Here is a picture. You might recognize them. This is Canada's notorious Anthills kids, or Anthills cult, as they're technically called, but I've always heard the Anthill kids. And so, yeah, with their illustrious leader right smack in the middle. They don't look very happy here, do they? Not at all. So, I wouldn't imagine they were. Now, this is another picture, and they do have, and I could put these in the community post later if you want. This does have everybody named who they are. So, if you want to, get a better look at that, they look a little happier here. I'm wondering the timing on stuff. Was this kind of a before, and was that kind of an after? So, we will be talking about the Anthill kids, and here is their creepy AF leader. And it is so weird because he really creeps me out because he looks so much like somebody that I used to know in this picture. So, well, in all of his pictures, but especially in this picture, he really does. He looks a lot like somebody I knew and don't miss. So, anyway, um, I wanted to pop those up real quick, get that out of the way because I tend to forget about having pictures that I'm going to show you. So, we got that done. So, yes, I did divide this up into segments, I guess, so that I could kind of keep a flow. Because I'm telling you, since vacation, I don't seem to be able to get back into my rhythm like I think I used to be in. So anyway, I'm gonna pop this one back up for just a minute and say we're going to meet the prophet. Now, yeah, y'all knew there was gonna be a prophet, right? Because we do enough on cults here that we know there's always gonna be some prophet in the bunch. So anyway, the Anthill Kids um was founded in 1977 by, ugh, is it Rock or Roke? I don't do accents, y'all. You know that. Theriault. And I'm not even going to pretend to take a French name and southernize it. So, anyway, I'll have a nickname for him, though. We'll use that one. But anyway, he was a French Canadian who fashioned himself as the Moses, as the new Moses. He was gonna lead his people, I guess, to the promised land, and he did this after kinda dabbling in the Seventh-day Adventist teachings, and so, that's where he kind of started from. He was kind of a thug, to put it bluntly. He had been in jail and stuff. He, was not a real nice guy by any means, but, yeah, that's kind of beside the point. But anyway, I did want to say that. He did start out preaching kind of a healthy living, uh, vegetarianism, not drinking or any of that stuff, kind of a back to the land kind of a vibe. That was kind of how he wanted everybody to live and how he wanted to live and everything. And the one thing that got a little, because it's always got to turn a little dark, is that he did claim that the world would end in February of 1979, and that only, of course, only his group, hidden in the wilderness, you know, at what was called the Eternal Mountain. I've got notes on this stuff so I don't forget, would survive. Shocking, right? How many cults have we studied that start with a prophet that maybe has a kind of good idea, goes a little, off kilter a little or a lot, and believes that only those that follow him are going to survive, the end of the world. So, anyway, yeah, the group was roughly a dozen adults mostly female, very heavily female, and there were over 20 children, most of whom he fathered himself. Again, shocking, right? But some of these were children that these women brought in from former relationships too. Not a lot, but some were, absolutely. So I do have a question right off the bat for the chat, and I wanna know, do you think that you would realize or recognize a self-proclaimed prophet, that was suddenly, gonna lead you to safety? Do you think that you would recognize that he was a little odd, or do you see and understand how people get sucked into this, get pulled into it, and can you see yourself ever being pulled into something like that? You know, I don't know. I don't know how I would answer that. I like to think that I would see it, but I don't know. And so I'm really, really interested in what your all's opinion is on that. And I'll have a couple other questions as we go along too. Not a lot. This isn't a a quiz, I promise. I need to get a drink. I'm sorry. My throat is still not right. Okay. So as for life in the colony, because they did all live communally in one place, far in the woods, on a hill, you know. The cult first gathered in, here Susie butcher the name, in 3, 2, 1, Sainte Marie de Bauge? Bauge? I don't know. But anyway, Quebec. They relocated to a remote compound in Hope Gaspé, and then later to, I can get this one, the wilderness near Burnt River, Ontario. Wow. A name I can actually pronounce. Burnt River. Sounds like something southern, y'all. Anyway, they lived isolated from society, from all their friends, their families. They got no outside news, no televisions, nothing. They were completely cut off from society and from anything but him, basically. He controlled every aspect of their lives, what they ate, who they were, with, who they were married to, who they weren't married to anymore. Mostly they were all his wives, supposedly. Even if they were somebody else's wife, didn't matter. They were his wife. But, also when they worked, when they slept, you name it. I mean, he probably decided on when they went to the toilet or not. It's like it was that kind of control, that much. And let's not forget, he was also in control of punishments. Another, are we surprised? Because it just always amazes me how these cults always, always have punishments. It is just, it is crazy. The followers were treated like ants toiling away, hence the nickname, the Ant Hill Kids. I actually was not able to find how that was actually very first, you know, put on them, if he did it or if somebody else did. So if somebody in the chat knows, I would love to hear, because I just, I didn't spend hours and hours and hours digging on that, but I did spend a little bit of time, and all I ever got was it was because they toiled in the soil, they worked like a bunch of ants, and so that's what they were called. So I don't know. But if anybody has the truth of the matter, please put it in the chat or put it in the comments after if you know. He did justify all of his cruelty, which he didn't, necessarily see it as cruelty, but he saw it as purification. Another big cult word. We know everybody from Scientologists down have some form of purification, and it always seems to be something that is absolutely not fun. When I purify myself, I drink a lot of water, I maybe take a hot shower, exfoliate my skin, that kind of thing. I don't necessarily go for the torture kind of purification, but okay. So anyway, another question. What is the biggest red flag that you would look for in spotting a dangerous cult? Would it be the isolation, the way that they, are hid back away from everybody but them, kept from their families, all that kind of thing? Would it be the demand for obedience, the absolute he's the ruler, she's the ruler, because we do know there are some females. Would it be that, the, absolute demand for obedience? Or would it be that there is this charismatic leader who we look at and see as a lunatic? Which would it be? Or would it be all of it? So I'm just wondering. Again, put it in the chat, y'all. I don't see that chat moving. So, anyway, so where this story really got tragic and the quote unquote breaking point of it was in September of 1988. Follower Solange Bulliard died, y'all, after a bizarre pseudo operation performed by Looney Moses. Because I don't know how to pronounce his name, so he's just Looney Moses. And I'm not trying to make light of this whole story. I think calling him Looney Moses is more damning than calling him Rock or Roke or whatever his name is. But the following year, another member, Gabrielle Lavallee, escaped Burnt River Compound. That was in August of '89, and she went to the police immediately, y'all, and she spilled her guts. She told the whole horrifying story of how life was inside the compound. She told about all of his, purifications. She told about all of these surgeries that he would do without anesthesia, on people, and very, very primitive. And no, in case you're wondering, he didn't have medical training. No, not at all. He didn't know what the hell he was doing. He's just nosy and had a god complex and would just go do surgery on somebody. So anyway, her escape triggered a full police raid. They didn't worry about like, "Oh, we're gonna investigate it for a while and we're gonna see what's going on." No. They jumped up and they went and raided this place. Several of their members were actually arrested, most of which were released later on because they really weren't doing anything illegal. It was him. The commune pretty much dissolved at that point. It just kind of ceased to exist because I mean everybody was gone. And the children, they were placed in protective care, and, eventually some of them were given back to their mothers, but not all. And if anybody has any information on where any of those children are, I would like that information too. These are things that maybe is easier to get your hands on in Canada, but I just could not find it. So, anyway, another question. I think this might be the last one. I think. Anyway, if you lived near a group like this, okay, or suspected that a group was a cult, would you speak up or would your fear, because, there's a lot of fear associated with getting involved with a cult because, you know, there's some pretty dangerous cults out there and nobody's looking to get killed, right? It's so but I wonder, would you speak up or would you keep silent? because of the fear or because you just didn't think it was your business or whatever. I would love to hear that. I truly, truly would. I would love to hear your opinion on it. I don't know. I think I would speak up. There are so many ways now, which weren't in effect back in the 70s and 80s and even 90s. But there are so many ways now that you can anonymously make tips. Sometimes that's not a good thing, but if you're like not an asshole, just trying to be a stalker bitch, then yeah, anonymously being able to report things is a good thing. And so I'm glad that they have that for everybody now. And I think that is something. Oh, I don't know if y'all can hear my stomach growl, but it is. I'm gonna have to have some dinner in a little bit. So anyway, so would you tell or would you keep quiet? There's a group. I mean, I needed to ask my brother if he's still talking to me. Um, there's a group out here around Skiatook, Oklahoma, that is rumored to be a cult, and they live right behind my brother. And so I don't know if they're still there. We've talked about him a little bit on the channel before. I need to get that information from him. Maybe I'll get a hold of them and see if they know anything or if anybody here that's from Oklahoma and the Tulsa area, if you know anything about this group, let me know. I am gonna really look into that. But yeah, I I I wonder if people would speak up or hold their silence, keep their silence. So anyway, so the justice and court cases that came out of this was in October of 1989. Looney Moses pled guilty to multiple I added two words together, multiple aggravated assaults, and he was sentenced to 12 years in prison. Not really great, right? But, at least he did go to prison. But y'all, just like 4 years later, in 1993, after investigators, with the help of some of these, cult members, they learned the full story of this Solange Boilard's death, which I'm sorry, murder, but it's, everybody just wants to call it a death. But anyway, Looney Moses did plead guilty to that, to second-degree murder, and he was sentenced to life in prison. Now, the end for Looney Moses came pretty quick. Life in prison turned out to not be really all that long because on February 26th of 2011, he was murdered in prison at Dorchester Penitentiary in New Brunswick by his 60-year-old cellmate, Matthew Gerard MacDonald. And it did say MacDonald, as in MAC. Um, anyway, MacDonald stabbed him in the neck, killing him. So McDonald was later he later pled guilty and of again second degree murder in 2012 and received a life sentence with no parole available for 25 years. I don't know how it works in Canada if the 25 years means 25 years, and I don't know what he was in there for before. That wasn't listed either. But, for a 60-year-old man, if he had to do the whole 25 years, he was probably not getting out of there. Hello, hello, and my dog and my cat are here to greet me today. Oh, another question. Okay, this is a good one. Ugh. Yeah, my cat tried to tear down the house. Thank you. Hold on just a second. I don't know where that went. We'll find it later. I'm sorry. Ugh, always fun here on, the show, right? Okay, so the question that I have now, let me prop this back up like it belongs. There we go. Is do you think that prison justice is justice, or do you think that it's just another layer of violence? I'm really interested in that too. Okay, so the legacy and cultural coverage of this whole deal. Survivor Gabrielle Lavallee later published a memoir, but it was in French, and it shared her side of the story of the cult. Journalists Paul Kayla and Ross Laver published Savage Messiah in 1993, and it is still the most detailed book on this cult. I've actually got it ordered because I just, you know how I am. I go down these rabbit holes. In 2002, a film adaptation of Savage Messiah was dramatized, and it was made, and it dramatized the events for a much wider audience. These are all things that you can look up. You might start with Netflix, something like that, or just punch it in and see where these things are streaming. I had a whole list when I punched it in, just the name of it, and put documentaries or movies or books. They'll come up and it'll list a whole lot of places that you can find a lot of stuff. Again, I wasn't going to mention every single detail because I know that this is a safe channel and we don't necessarily want to talk about all the details. So, anyway, today the anthill cult stands as one of the most infamous examples of how apocalyptic fear and isolation and one man's ego can become so disastrous, so destructive, just absolutely horrible. So, quickly, I want to list a few of his atrocities and abuse as non-graphic as possible, but will warn you here that this is a little more graphic than what I have been so far. Um, he did a lot of mutilations. He liked to do surgeries without anesthesia. He would cut into bellies to, supposedly cut away disease or illness that he had no idea what he was doing, none. And a lot of people got really sick. It is suspected that more people died than what we know, just because he was doing surgeries and stuff, y'all, and with no anesthesia, no medicine. And he didn't like for them to go to the doctors or get any kind of help, and he certainly wasn't gonna send somebody to the doctor if they got an infection or gangrene or anything like that from one of his surgeries. So, it is very possible that he has possibly many more victims. So, he did, amputate the one woman's arm with a meat cleaver with, of course, no anesthesia. He would beat the members. This was part of his purification. He would beat them with belts, but he would beat them with hammers. And I mean that is absolutely insane. He would suspend people for hours or days from the ceilings, from the rafters of a barn or something. People were forced to sit on hot wood stoves. I can't even imagine. I've bumped up against one before, and that's certainly not the same as sitting on one. So, all of the women in the cult were pretty much assigned as or claimed as his wives. He fathered more than 20 children. There's absolutely no way to keep count, but they do say that there were 9 women out of the dozen or so members that he fathered children with. As you can see from the pictures that I showed, and I'll pop them up again at the end, he did prefer a young following, probably so he could work them to death and father children, right? Mm. So, as far as murder, at least 2 followers died from his sadistic treatments, as he would call them. An infant was beaten to death by a member on Looney Moses's orders. So he didn't actually do that murder, but he ordered it done. Um, Another infant died shortly after birth because it was a little bit sick. It wasn't anything that was it was terrible. It could easily have been treated. And he refused to let them have this child treated. And so the child died shortly, within days or whatever after birth, and then it was just buried on the property that was found whenever the police did their raid. That was one of the things that they did find was that body along with the other lady's body. And there are more things that he did, and I think you get the point. I don't think that we have to list every single thing in order to cover it all. So I am going to check back in with the chat. I want to see. I've got, oh, it looks like about 12 questions starred. Thank you very much, John. And I just want to see what you all thought. I mean, I can remember hearing about this, my whole adult life, but I never really knew what it was. I have not watched any of the documentaries. I plan to. I have not yet read that book. I also plan to. It should be here in a day or two. Um, when I'm done with it, if somebody else wants it, I will gladly ship it to you. So, you know, there is that. I'm always happy to pass books on, and all I ask is that you then pass it on to somebody, even if that means you donate it somewhere. I just like for things to get passed on. I have a ton of political books that I'm going to give to the library. They're in like near perfect condition. I mean, I read them, but I was very careful with them and everything. Hardback political type books from the last 2 or 3 presidencies. So, anyway, I think you can kind of figure out what they're about. But anyway, I'm gonna check with the starred questions and see what we got. John, thank you, John. I was gonna say, and then I got twisted. But anyway, Ben is he's still worrying about those old people on his drive home. He says, "Oh, I need to split the drive home through the gauntlet of old people. Oh, I need to split in 3 minutes." Okay. Okay, that's the one I did read. Yeah. He needs to split in 3 minutes. So I'm sure he's gone. He is wading through the old people. Ugh. Jersey says, "At this point in my life, I wouldn't be pulled in by a false prophet. Earlier in my life, quite possibly." I kind of feel the same way. I wonder about that sometimes. So I get that. I really do. I think that we do get wiser as we get older. And I think that that is a lot of why um, so many of our cult members are young, when they get brought in. Doesn't mean they don't age, but I think that a lot of them do start young. Absolutely. Anyone who predicts the end of the world on a specific day is a non-starter. Absolutely, Incarnasoul. I agree. I'm a Christian and I'm not trying to ram that down your throat, but as a Christian, we are taught that nobody, not even Jesus, knows when that day is. So I'm sorry, Looney Moses, you don't know either, which I guess he is dead now, so he, not listening to me. Okay. A fundamentalist Christian cult tried to pull me in. Nope. But they did show to me that I hadn't really owned my beliefs. I just followed what I was taught. And so the search began. In Carnousel, that is interesting. I would really you are definitely on the list of people that I would absolutely love to interview on here. And before you say I don't have a big story or anything, none of us do. None of us do. We just want to hear what you're about, find out who you are, just a little bit of information about you, get to know you. We see you on here, but it would be great to have you on the show. So please, if you are interested, I would love to talk to you about that. So, Yes. Jersey says isolation, demand for obediency, or lunacy. All of the above. Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. I agree with this one too. Mayor says that if you reach the point of isolation, it's too late. Absolutely. If they start isolating you from everybody, run. Don't walk, run. I don't care. You fight your way out of there because it is only going to get worse. Jersey says, if I found out about a cult, I think I'd go to the authorities. I'm stubborn and my mouth gets bigger and bigger as I get older. Oh no. Jan's gonna be one of those people that say, I'm old. I can do and say as I please now. I have a deal with my daughters that I'm like, okay, if y'all see me starting to get like that, you need to, you need to do an intervention. I mean, I'm always a little like that, but in case you couldn't tell. But yeah, if I start getting to the point that I think that because I'm old, that I can say and do what I want, yeah, intervention. Marilee says, I would for sure speak up, but it helps to have cops in the family. Absolutely, it does. It really does. Yeah. Second layer of violence. Absolutely. Yep. Marilee says, just another layer of violence. It is. It's awful. Hmm. I think that it's a second layer of violence, but I also it is awful. I know that. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm not gonna feel sorry for him. Death in prison is another layer of violence. But you know what they say, what goes around comes around. That's kind of how I feel about it. But I get it. And I think maybe I get it more because I do have friends that have been in prison. They have absolutely done their time and made the very best of their lives. Y'all know some of the same people I know. Now, one we all know didn't learn a damn thing, but others have done amazing things with their lives. And I understand that. And they have actually kind of opened my eyes to the whole prison justice system. So, anyway, chances are there were other deaths. Yeah. If he was in the wilderness, he could easily dispose of the bodies. Absolutely, Marilee. And I really thought so much of you because I know that you're a Canadian and I know that, like me, you're somebody that like pays attention to these kind of things. And so I'm really wondering, you know, um, just what you know. What you know. Yeah. Where's the Susie whisperer when you need him? I don't know. We definitely need a Susie whisperer sometimes. Yes, the man is clearly insane. Absolutely. Ben says, I can't say what I'm thinking about that guy because YouTube would ban me. Absolutely. Absolutely. Me too. Guys, I do want to put up um this picture again because, yeah, the face of evil. Absolutely. Absolutely. The face of evil. And again, here's some of the members. This is Solange, and this is that Giselle. Let's see, this one's named Cole, Francine. I can't see it. Josie, it looks like. Maurice, Chantel, and Gabrielle. Wasn't it Gabrielle that, or no, it was Solange. Was it Solange or Gabrielle that died? I think it was Solange. And Gabrielle told. So either way, we owe those two women a lot. One gave her life and one um, told and stopped the the damage. Hey, Tony, good to see you. Very good to see you. I'm trying to see if there's anybody that I missed coming in. If I miss you, it's just that I just missed you. I went yesterday. I will tell that little part of the yeah, the cult playbook rules, Tony. Absolutely. Um, I went to the eye doctor yesterday, y'all, and it, I knew something was gonna be up when the eye doctor says, "Wow." When he's looking at my eyes, he says, "Wow." And then he looks at the other one and he was like, "Wow." So, anyway, the, official diagnosis was that I did not need to be spending my money buying glasses. He would not recommend glasses until I have surgery on my eyes. Um, I don't know if you all have seen pictures of what your eyes look like if they have cataracts on them. I'm 59 years old. I'm a little young to have cataracts, especially to the degree that I do, but they do believe that the year and a half that I had um, weekly and then daily chemo have far advanced my eyes, my vision loss. So yeah, he showed me a picture of my eye and it was actually very pretty. But what really was funny, I will say this, that sometimes I can be kind of looking and I'll think that I see like an eyelash or a clump of eyelashes in my vision, and I'll like try to move the eyelashes and nothing moves. And so come to find out that's a cataract. So my eye, it looked like the big circle with all the color and everything. And then all around the outer, well, most of the eye actually was very cloudy. And then it looked like fingers, like black fingers coming up from the side and all across the bottom and up most of the other side on both eyes, my right being the worst. And I knew that the right was the worst because whenever I'm actually trying to read something, I catch myself constantly closing this eye to focus on it because my right eye will it makes it blurry. It makes things blurry. So, yeah, I have been referred to an eye surgeon. They are going to get rid of my cataracts and also fix my vision and the strain, the glare and everything that I have in at night with lights and everything, because lights really cause a lot of glare, which, the lights that I have when I'm doing my show also cause a lot of eye strain for me. So yeah, I'm just gonna have eye surgery, y'all. So I was kind of in a little pout because I really wanted some new glasses besides my high dollar Timu reading glasses that I have several pairs of. On our vacation, my sister-in-law was like, "How many pairs of glasses do you have?" And I said, "2." She goes, "No, I see a lot of glasses on that show." And I'm like, "Oh, those are my Temu specials, 2 or $3 a piece reading glasses." So, John says cataract surgery changed my life. Susie, prepare to cry a couple of times after you see what you have been missing. I can imagine. I truly can. When my grandson Connor, he's 17, but a few years ago when he got his glasses the first time, he was like, "I don't need glasses. I see fine. I'm doing fine." On and on and on. And he put those glasses on, and his mom said he was like, "Wow." He was just, like, outside, just, like, looking at everything, just fascinated. So, yeah. So I'm expecting that I will probably have the same kind of, you know, moment or moments of just absolute, you know, amazement at what I'm missing. Marilee says, "I have 2 pairs of glasses, my old prescription in case of emergency." Yeah, I have 2 pair that are, they're I always get 2 pair. Um, I was going to not this time because with all the stuff that I have to get on my glasses because as I age, I they get more and more expensive as you have to have bifocals or no line bifocals or progressives and all this stuff. And yeah, so Mark, he got one pair of glasses yesterday. And had they not had a coupon, they were $900 for one pair of glasses. So he ended up paying 5 something, right at $600, which is still shocking to me. He did get the progressive and he did get the ones that changed to sunglasses. So, yeah, a little more expensive than just, normal glasses, but not like that expensive. We were getting these other lenses that are like these, like the best lenses they've got out there and hated them. Every time we would get them within just a few weeks, they would get cloudy and blur our vision. And yeah, we had the deal where we could go get the lenses replaced, but it takes like 2 weeks to get them replaced. And it's just, ugh, it's a pain. So Tony says, I think I have to get the same surgery. I wasn't too bad last year, but suddenly I can't see worth a hoot. Oh, girl. Yeah. Yeah. Carrie says $900, $600. Crazy. Yeah. Ben Bacon Bits says put DW on the side and it would double the price again. Yeah. The prices, um, he was like looking at frames that were, I mean, I think that they were like 69, $79, but he wasn't getting like, the designer frames. I used to um I used to get nothing but Coach frames. Now, they were cheaper then than what they are now. I clearly don't buy them now, but they would be like, 69, $79 and I would get those instead of the like 29, $39 frames. And I would take care of them, and I would have new lenses put in those every year, so those same lenses would last me for 2 or 3 years that I would use them. And then honestly, a couple of times after that, my mom even took my frames and had lenses put in them. So, we were getting the money's worth, y'all. This girl is, I like bargains. So but anyway, now I'm like, "No, no, no, no. I cannot afford that." So, I get cheap frames and buy Temu. So, Susie, my glasses, even after my extended health benefits cost well over 1,000. Marilyn, I don't doubt it. Babe, I don't doubt it. I really don't. I was shocked. The price of glasses has skyrocketed in the last couple of years. It has really, really went up. It's higher this year by a lot than it was last year. Last year, we both got um we both got glasses, 2 pairs, and it was around I think $400 each. Like my 2 pairs of glasses were about $400 and his 2 pairs of glasses were about $400. And that was with those high dollar lenses in them. So, whenever they said what his were this time, I thought he was gonna choke. I really did. I looked over at him and I'm like, "Well, you don't have to buy them for me, probably ever." So, yeah, I don't know, bless his heart. He was like, "Ugh," especially right coming right on the heels of our vacation and everything, and Christmas is coming up. So, we wanted to get that done so we could, kinda recoup a little bit before Christmas hits here. So, anyway, I think that's oh, it says I've got, like, 8. Let me see what we got on the start, see if I'm oops, missing anything. No, I think, Evie, I think that was their real names. I really do. Yeah, I really do. Ben says, "So the dude got what was coming to him." Absolutely. Yeah. He says, "Missed that part." Yeah. Oh, that's the one I already read that one. Thank you, John. I read those. Yes. It's the photochromatic lenses. They are stupid expensive on top of the progressives. I have progressives, but no way to pay for photochromics. Yeah. I'll use the $5 clip-on polarized sunglasses. Yeah, his the part that, changes to a sunglass is $165 per pair. So, yeah, I agree. They jumped up at a fairly good rate, yeah, after the government fixed our healthcare. Absolutely. Yes, and tariffs are adding a huge cost to everything. You are right, Glenda Cox, and it's good to see you. I am sorry that I missed you until just then. I hope you come back and visit us. I truly do. Anybody else that is new here, I really do hope you come back and visit us. This was kind of a throw together. Like I said, I threw literally, I'm not kidding. I threw 3 different sets of notes on this cult away because I just felt like I was either telling way too many details or way too much graphic stuff. So I tried to get kind of a mix of not as much details, but enough, and not too much graphic content. So, but anyway, tomorrow we will be live. It's going to be a doozy, y'all. I'm going to talk about a lot of stuff, okay? I'm going to talk about Jamie Thomas. I'm going to talk about, at least for a minute, Reese Quibell. I'm going to talk about Reddit. I'm going to talk about the SBTV community a little bit. There's 4 things that I really want to talk about. I don't think any of it's horrible, you know. I mean, I guess it depends on how you look at things, especially where Jamie Thomas is concerned. I'll just say I was doing a happy dance. When I found out that she had been arrested, I was doing a happy dance and I wanted to send flowers, pizza, whatever they wanted to her homeowners association's next meeting. I truly do. So I need to get that address and maybe I will manage to do that. So, y'all, I hope that she gets exactly what she's got coming to her. I have been in contact with law enforcement 3 days in a row, actually. Yeah. Is this Wednesday? Yeah, 3 days in a row. The day I heard about it, yesterday, and today. So, this is far from over. Very far from over. If anybody out there has been a victim of Jamie Thomas and her cyber stalking or bullying, whatever, I absolutely urge you to get a hold of the authorities in Avery County, North Carolina. And if you need that information, I will give it to you. I've got phone numbers, I've got email addresses, I've got everything that you would possibly need to get your story told. Now, I don't know, it's going to kind of depend on if that becomes a federal case or not. It's looking like it is, but for sure, all of our stories will be added as corroborative um, evidence to what this woman is like. And that this was not just, she had herself a little butt hurt, right? No, she's this way. She's evil. She does it for fun. She absolutely gets off on it. So be here tomorrow. I'm excited to talk about it. I've kind of held my tongue a little bit and let a lot of other people take the lead and do what they want. But tomorrow we're going to talk about it. And then we're going to talk about a couple other things, 3 other things to be exact. So, but yeah, I will see you all then. I love you. Thank you so much for being here. Mods, thank you so much. I love you. Bye.
Hope you enjoyed the show. So glad you were here. We meet here most days, we're but first coffee and you're welcome here. We talk about hard subjects, but we also laugh a lot. If you have a loss or win, we will cheer for you. We're but first coffee and you are safe here. So hit those like and subscribe buttons, notifications set to all. You don't wanna miss a show, because this is your home to y'all. So hit those like and subscribe buttons, notifications set to all. You don't wanna miss a show, because this is your home to y'all. So hit those like and subscribe